Right, now it's time to start our discussion about loops. But first, let's create a new project. I'm gonna call it loops. Select IntelliJ, click on next and finish. Right, a project is created. Let's delete the code inside the curly braces. Let's hide the project pane. And let's start by explaining what loops are and why you need to use them. So loops allows us to execute a piece of code multiple times without you writing down every line of code manually. So let's say that I want to print 10 numbers in the console, or 20 or 50. Instead of instead of typing that code manually line by line, which will be very tedious, you can use a loop and you can put that code in a loop, and in that code in the loop it will be executed repeatedly until a certain number is reached. So let's see how you can define a loop. To define a loop, we type here for. This is the first loop that we're going to look at, because there are other loops. So this is the for loop. We press enter. Inside the parentheses we type I. This is convention, you can put whatever name you want there. Now we put here in. This is the keyword in. And now let's say that I want to loop from 1 to 10. And to do that we type 1 dot dot. This is a range. 1 to 10. Now I put the curly braces, and inside the curly braces I'm gonna put the code that I want to be executed 10 times. So I'm gonna type here println, and I'm gonna type the value of I at each iteration, and we can put it like this. You can type here, you can put in the quotation marks, and you can do the placeholder. You can put I. So now if you run this, so now you get I is 1, 2 until 10. So what it's doing is looping through this range until it reaches 10. Then it stops. Now you can write this I like I did it here using a placeholder, or you can write it like this. Now if you run this code, it will have the same effect, but will not have the text before here. So now you get 1 until 10. Now there are other variations to use this range, and one of them is to use until. So let's comment this code. So let's press Ctrl/. Right? Now let's type 4 again. And now I'm gonna call it also I. Here you can put whatever name you want. And instead of now I'm gonna put also again the in keyword. And instead of putting the dot dot to loop to a range, I'm gonna put 1 until 10. Alright? Now I'm gonna add the println statement, and here I'm gonna type I. And this will have the same effect with a single difference, that 1 until 10 is gonna exclude 10, and 1 using the range dot dot 10, it will include 10. So if you run this code, you're gonna see that you will not have 10 here, because 10 is excluded when you're using the until. So now as you can see, we have 1 until 9, and 10 is excluded because now we're using the until. So if you're using the range, which is dot dot, the last number is gonna be included, but if you use until, the last number is gonna be excluded. So it's important to know that this 2 respectively the until and the range, can only count upwards. So we cannot put here 10 until 1 because the first number, the number on the left, needs to be smaller than the number on the right. So we cannot put 10 until 1. We can only count upwards. You can only put 1 until 10 or 1 dot dot 10. So to loop backwards, we need to use another thing. So let's comment this code also. Now, to loop backwards, we type for. Again, in the parentheses, you put I. Here you can put whatever if you want. In. So here you can put whatever name, but conventionally I is used. Now I'm gonna put in, and now I'm gonna put down. First, let's put 10 down, down to 1. Let's add the curly braces, the println, and let's put I here. Now this is gonna count downwards. Now it's gonna count from 10 to 1. So if you run this code, now get 10, 9, so it's counting backwards, right? Another thing that you can do is that you can introduce an arbitrary step. So let's comment this code also. Let's add below another code, another for loop. So here I'm gonna type for parentheses. Let's put I. And let's use the until. So in 1 until 10. So now I can put an arbitrary step. So at this arbitrary step, that number which is at that arbitrary step is gonna be skipped. So I can put here step 2, let's say. So now I'm gonna put the curly braces to have some code executed. I'm gonna put println, and let's put here I. So now if you run this code, now I get 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So you can see that at the second iteration, the number is skipped. So we have 1, 2 is skipped. Now then we have 3, 4. 3 and 4 is skipped, and so on. So you can put this arbitrary step if you want. So let's comment this code also. And let's add the first code that we had here to talk a little bit more. So let's put I in 1. Let's put the range dot dot 10 and curly braces. Here I'm gonna type println. I. Now if you run this code, we'll get the same output as at the beginning of the video. So get 1 until 10 inclusive. Now again, what this loop is doing is going through this range from 1 to 10, and it's executing the code inside the curly braces 10 times, and when it reaches 10 it stops and it executes the next line of code below here. But because here we don't have any line of code, our program exits and is finished. So this is our discussion about for loop. There are other loops which can loop as long as a certain condition is true, not as long as a certain number is reached. So we're gonna look at the next loops in the next video. See you next.